You're not just stuck in a subway car, you're trapped in a human zoo. It's rush hour. Bodies pressed together, no space to breathe. Then it hits you, the sharp sting of someone else's sweat invading your senses. As if that isn't enough, the man responsible starts yelling into his phone on speaker, oblivious to the crowd he's assaulting. When someone speaks up, he fires back a stream of profanity, louder, nastier, completely unfazed. And in that moment, you ask yourself, why do people like this exist everywhere? And how the hell are we supposed to deal with them? We've all been there, forced to interact with unpleasant people in public spaces. Rude individuals exist everywhere, on buses and trains, on busy streets, in restaurants, at the office, on the roads, and even within our own homes. These so-called difficult people come from all backgrounds and corners of the world, and yet they all seem to share an inability or unwillingness to behave with basic decency. The question is, do they genuinely not know how to act, or do they simply not care? How can we navigate a world that includes such people? Interestingly, ancient Stoic thinkers had much to say on this subject. The challenge of dealing with difficult individuals recurs throughout Stoic literature. They wrote about dishonest brothers, abusive fathers, unruly bathers, and those who seem to have flushed away both their manners and their hygiene in public lavatories. So what do we do about smelly loud commuters, toxic coworkers, or even manipulative housemates? In a previous video, we explored the idea of choosing solitude, a decision often born from painful interactions with others. This video delves deeper, addressing the broader problem of how to deal with difficult individuals, including the foul-smelling ones, through the lens of Stoic philosophy and my own lived experiences. When Epictetus was exiled from Rome along with many other philosophers, he relocated to Nicopolis in northern Greece. There he spent the remainder of his life and founded a school of Stoic philosophy. One of his most devoted students, Arrian, would eventually document Epictetus's teachings. Without Arrian's efforts, we might not know of Epictetus at all, as it was he who compiled the discourses and created a pocket-sized guidebook of his teacher's key insights. Among these teachings is a memorable lesson involving one of Rome's most iconic institutions, the public bathhouse. Inspired by Greek customs, these bathhouses became widespread throughout the Roman Empire. They were not just places to get clean, but social hubs where friends met, parties were planned, and politicians courted public favor. Even Rome's elite, who could afford private baths, often chose the public ones for their vibrant social atmosphere. Of course, these communal spaces attracted all kinds of characters, some of them less than desirable. There were those who splashed water intentionally, thieves who roamed the halls, and people who acted as if the entire bathhouse belonged to them. Reading Stoic texts, it becomes apparent that in many ways human behavior hasn't changed much. Difficult people have always been among us. Epictetus urged his students to remember the essence of any activity. Each action has its own nature. For example, when going to a bathhouse, we should anticipate certain things, even the unpleasant ones. Expect people to splash water, push others, curse, shout, intimidate, or even dive in theatrically if that existed at the time. By recognizing these potential annoyances ahead of time, we immunize ourselves against surprise and frustration. So what then should we do? Epictetus proposed that our focus should not rest solely on the activity, bathing in this case, but on preserving our mental composure. He wrote, "Thus you will more safely go about this action if you say to yourself, I will now go bathe and keep my own mind in a state conformable to nature." This principle, he explained, should apply to everything we do. If something goes wrong, we are reminded that the aim was not just the act itself, but maintaining inner tranquility. Public transportation, by the same logic, should be approached in a similar fashion. Is it reasonable to expect every ride to be peaceful with seats for all and punctual arrivals? Of course not. Anyone who frequently commutes knows these expectations are unrealistic. Loud, smelly, antisocial passengers are often part of the experience. Therefore, in the spirit of Stoic philosophy, we can apply Epictetus's teaching in 2 steps. First, prepare mentally for the nature of commuting, and second, strive to remain calm regardless of what happens. Take the bus, expect delays. Take the train, expect rude employees and irritable passengers. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most admired Roman emperors and a profound figure in Stoic philosophy, dealt with difficult people constantly. Some were disrespectful, others were manipulative or unjust. The weight of ruling a vast empire surely tested his resolve. In response, Marcus turned to journaling, a private outlet where he reflected on strength, purpose, humanity, and the challenge of interacting with disagreeable people. His reflections included what later Stoics called the premeditatio malorum, or negative visualization, which I discussed in another video. But one particularly striking passage is his reminder not to be bothered by foul odors. He reasoned that bad smells come naturally from certain mouths and armpits, and while it's tempting to ask, can't they tell? The better question is, can you remain logical and undisturbed if someone is willing to listen gently? Show them. If not, stay calm anyway. Marcus's insight was simple yet profound. We can't control others. Even he, as emperor, lacked that power. We may express ourselves, but there's no guarantee anyone will care. Some people are indifferent to their impact. And if you can't make them change, why let it rob your peace? When someone's behavior offends us, we tend to fixate on it, especially with people close to us like our parents. As we grow older, we sometimes focus on their flaws and ignore their virtues. It's natural but problematic. These traits, whether stubbornness, nosiness, or resistance to feedback, often define how we relate to them, and they don't easily change. Yet Epictetus warned against giving up on people too quickly. In the Enchiridion, he encourages us to see more than just the flaws. Speaking to a student with an unfair brother, Epictetus advised, "Everything has 2 handles, one you can hold it by and one you can't. If you grab it by unfairness, you can't carry it. Try the other handle, he's your brother, and you were raised together." This shift in perspective has helped me. Sometimes I catch myself turning someone's bad side into their entire identity. But they're not just a jerk or a liar. There might still be traits that allow some connection. And if there aren't, if the relationship is toxic and unbearable, then perhaps it's time to walk away. Picture living with someone who starts a fire. At first you endure the smoke, but what do you do when it chokes you? I know this well. I haven't spoken to my father in over 5 years. Once we were close. But in 2018, I cut ties after years of painful experiences. He fits the criteria for narcissistic personality disorder, though never diagnosed. He sees no fault in himself. Whatever label one might assign him, his manipulative behavior, chronic lies, disregard for boundaries, and destructive tendencies became intolerable. I had to leave. The fact that he's my father no longer justified his place in my life. I often reflected on Epictetus's words, "Are you entitled to a good father? No, only to a father. But even so, one must know their limits. Eventually enough is enough." In his discourses, Epictetus offers a metaphor. If someone fills a room with smoke and it's mild, stay. If it's too much, leave. While often interpreted as a reference to suicide, context shows it's about social situations. Someone refused to dine with a braggart, and Epictetus replied, "Do nothing as if you were burdened or oppressed. No one is forcing you. The choice remains ours. If it's possible to leave a toxic relationship, then do so. We are not prisoners." Still, when wounded, it's tempting to fantasize about revenge. Eye for an eye feels just. I felt this with my father. My revenge was to succeed, to prove I was worthy. But even that I now see was fueled by anger. It cost me joy and peace, and I still yearned for an acknowledgement that may never come. Epictetus challenges the notion of revenge. If wrongdoings hurt virtue, then the wrongdoer injures himself, not us. He wrote, "If so-and-so has injured himself by doing me some wrong, shall I not injure myself by doing him some wrong?" Revenge may feel sweet, but it is often fleeting and self-destructive. In trying to make others suffer, we risk stooping to their level and may not even succeed since their reaction is beyond our control. So this is the Stoic philosophy approach to dealing with difficult people, even the smelly ones. How do you handle them? Which Stoic insight resonates most with you? Let us know in the comments, and thank you for watching.